not being able to go outside.
It was actually really devastating.
So I lost a lot of the fun stuff to do.
And feeling kind of claustrophobic.
Without animals or pets, they couldn't go out.
The COVID-19 pandemic has been the cause of large-scale changes to our way of life across the world. Professional sporting events are no longer allowed to host fans during games. Musicians have had to cancel all their tours, aviation companies have gone into bankruptcy due to travel bans, and people have lost their jobs due to cutbacks. Even though all countries are dealing with the situation differently, the virus has still affected everyone on this planet. The economy has taken a big hit during the pandemic, but so has society as a whole due to the practicing of social distancing. The United Nations predicted that this pandemic would cause a $2 trillion fall in our global income and a $220 billion loss for developing countries, excluding China. This was predicted in April, and to this date we have far surpassed that number. Professionals now estimate that that number will actually fall between $9 to $15 trillion. Because of the pandemic and the precautions put in place to stop the spread, many countries have put their whole populations into a period of lockdown. This has massively changed the way we conduct business and how we go about our daily routines. People are now working from home and online teaching is now very common. The environment has also been something that the pandemic has affected. Luckily, its effect has been very positive for the environment. Since people are no longer travelling and many industries have shut down, the carbon emissions on the planet have decreased. The air quality in cities such as New York, Shanghai, and Tokyo have massively improved due to these new regulations. The United States has struggled a lot with the virus. The USA has the highest number of total cases, with almost 7.5 million people having been diagnosed with COVID-19. The economy has taken a huge loss of approximately $2.2 trillion. The pandemic hit the city of New York the hardest, and it was also where the virus spread the fastest.
My name's Katrina Cruz. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada. So in Las Vegas, it's all, as you know, it's known for gambling, the hotels, the strip, and just a lot of like buffets and sort of things like that. And what they did is that they shut down everything except for the necessities, which is the grocery store and the hospitals. And then once things started getting better in Las Vegas, they started opening up back the casinos, the hotels, but the only thing that we can only do is if we want to go inside the hotels or casinos or like any other stores, we would have to wear a mask like I am right now.
Brazil decided to go into quarantine to stop the spread of COVID-19. The virus has affected the country immensely. Brazil is ranked third in the world, just short of China and the United States with the total number of cases. Brazil has almost 5 million cases as of October 2020.
Hi, my name is Giovanna Jalas. I am from São Paulo, Brazil. My country, we were in quarantine since March, and then we started to open up some establishments in August.
Did you wear any masks or any?
Yeah, we're still
traveling.
Yeah, we're still required to wear masks on the streets and in every closed space. And yes, we are not able to go to Europe or United States.
Denmark is a very small country with a population of 5 million people. They have dealt relatively well with this pandemic, having only 25,000 cases to this date. Although Denmark shut down their economy for a few weeks to prevent the spread of the virus, which cost the government a lot of money, they have had very few deaths.
My name is Tobias. I'm from Denmark. I think like most countries, we went into lockdown whenever the outbreak came, and we really just made sure that the spread wouldn't spread fast. So again, like a lot of precautions. You couldn't go out, everything closed very quickly. You couldn't go to bars, restaurants, stuff like that. Activities got closed off. And that went on for a while, for maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And after that, then it slowly started to ease up a little bit. And everything kind of slowly got better. Then suddenly you were allowed to go on outdoor dining for.
Sweden is also a fairly small country when it comes to population size, with a population of 10 million people. Sweden, however, had a completely different approach to handling the virus. The government put their trust into their citizens and decided to put in very few regulations. The Swedish government decided to go for herd immunity. This has so far worked very well for the country. They have not yet had a major increase in cases and have only had 80,000 total cases. The economy in Sweden has not yet massively been affected, with the country losing very little money.
My name is William and I'm from Sweden. I would say that the government put trust into the people to use social distancing. Of course, we had some regulations, like we closed the big events, bars, like nightlife was closed. But otherwise than that, it was completely normal. We did not wear any masks.
Spain is also a country that has been hit very hard by the pandemic. Spain is ranked 7th in the world with a total of 800,000 cases. This makes Spain the most affected country in Europe. Spain went through a very long quarantine for almost 3 months and almost a complete shutdown at one point.
My name is Angelica and I'm from Spain. Well, my country had a full lockdown in the whole country, so not only different regions, but everyone was in lockdown for almost 3 months. And there was a lot of, there was different hospitals that had to transfer patients to other countries because we didn't have space in our own, and it was actually really devastating.
So when I came back to Las Vegas after my semester, I did quarantine for 2 weeks, but at the same time, because nothing was open besides grocery stores and like going out places, I stayed home even longer, so maybe a month or 2.
I quarantined for a month and a half. During quarantine, I think the worst part was not being able to see my family and friends, especially my grandmother, because I didn't want to put her in danger. So
I think Sweden is probably the only country that did it very, very differently. I quarantined for 2 days since I came back from the US. Then my dad told me that I had to work, which I did.
I did quarantine, as I mentioned, for almost, I would say, 3 months without going out. I have a dog, so I was actually lucky enough to go out with him for 10 minutes a day. But the rest of the people without animals or pets, they couldn't go out.
I went through quarantine for 2 weeks when I came back from America. So I had my own little apartment in the basement where I was basically not allowed to leave.
The toughest part for me during quarantine was not being able to see my friends, going out and to relax, because if I went out to relax, people would stare at me very weirdly, why are you outside? It's Corona.
I think the toughest part is that we lost a lot of things. Things to do during the summer, because it was usually Swedish summer is all about big gathering, big barbecues or club life, which we didn't really have.
For me, it was maintaining a good mental health and finding motivation to finish my schoolwork and even just do some exercise at home and have like a normal routine, because I would go to sleep at like 4 or 5 a.m. and wake up at 2 p.m.
The toughest part about quarantining was probably not being able to go outside physically. Like, you kind of just got this feeling of being completely crammed up and feeling kind of claustrophobic.
I think that we will be more cleaner in a sense, you know. Everyone will be more cautious of what they're going to be doing. So there will be maybe hand sanitizers everywhere, cleaner streets maybe, that'd be really nice. Maybe even wearing masks all the time when you're at the airport, because I know like there's other cultures, like for example Asian cultures, it's a normal thing for them to wear masks.
I think COVID has a big impact, and I think it's gonna change within 6 months, but after that everything is gonna just go back to normal. People are gonna forget about it.
Personally, I think it already changed a lot. For example, I think virtual meetings, like Zoom meetings, are going to be a very common thing to do instead of see each other in person. Like business meeting maybe happens through Zoom. I also believe that the way of teaching in classes, maybe they're also going to stay even after the virus, that we're going to have maybe a hybrid program, an online kind of school version where you don't have to pay dorm.
Well, specifically in my country, I think that the government's not doing a great job, and I think that a lot of things that are happening are very political and not really related to the virus. They're more like taking advantage of like the sources they have, the resources. But overall, I think that Corona is gonna make every country have to be more controlling over the people. They're gonna overall just making sure who's coming in and out of the countries, and I think that's going to be a problem, especially in Europe.
Maybe we wouldn't go to a country, maybe we would just stay all at home, because suddenly I think a lot of people realize that you can also do a lot of stuff at home. At least in Denmark, people used to travel a lot, but suddenly, you know, now that we weren't allowed to travel, suddenly we found all these cool places within our country and within our borders, and I think that's actually a very cool thing, is that now maybe we're going to appreciate our own country a little bit more and not seek out too much.